2, there.
There it is. And we're live with another SGR Coffee Break. This is number 3. This is like 3 weeks in a row. This is
I know, and it's the last one of the year, so because we're quitting while we're ahead.
Hey, they always say go out on top, right? So, I mean,
Yep.
we've got this perfected. We got video now and audio and I don't even edit it. It's pretty great. It's kind of nice when you're not drunk, like, on other podcasts. You could just...
That's because we have coffee.
Coffee.
You'll never leave me, coffee. Never.
The world doesn't have enough coffee, I don't think.
Mm-mm. Coffee or wine. We need more coffee, more wine. Life is good.
Yeah, I can go with that. And beer. Lots of beer. Almost today, because we are currently recording this in the afternoon hour, and I almost kind of went, I have this coffee stout in my refrigerator. Because I was like, it has coffee in it, so therefore I'm still technically drinking coffee.
And actually, I've been hearing that coffee beer is becoming a thing.
Oh, it is. Especially...
Like, I don't mean like they put coffee in beer. I mean like they're making coffee that tastes like beer, which I think is weird, but...
I don't know how I would handle that.
See, now you're making me want to have some Young's Double Chocolate Stout, which I haven't had in forever. Because I haven't drunk beer in forever, but man, that sounds really good right now.
You need to get on that.
Yeah. That sounds like I have to leave the house and go to the store or something. And
That's why I did a lot this morning. I'm already back in my PJs, so it's all good.
Well, see, I went to yoga this morning instead and got my ass kicked because we did all this arm and shoulder work. Like what we did was that she had us lay down on a blanket and then scoot across the floor and back using just our forearms like this. Like the first 3 were okay, and they're like, motherfucker! And yeah, I'm pretty much going to be T-Rex arms the rest of the day. I don't think I can lift my arms anymore.
This sounds exhausting.
It was exhausting, but it's a good thing. You know what else is a good thing? Games
All
of
the
the
good
year.
stuff that happened this year?
Yes, a lot of good stuff happened this year. It's weird because last year, it's kind of funny talking to people about games of the year this year versus last year, because last year I didn't like very much stuff. And everyone seemed to love everything from last year. And then this year I love everything and everyone seems to hate everything. So either that means the mass populace has no taste or I have no taste. And I'm going to go with the former, that the mass has no taste.
Yeah, well, everybody likes to bitch about everything, and it's just...
Right.
I started working on a Corner of Randomness article that was kind of diving into we need to stop being so hateful. Just like, I gave up. I was like, this is just not...
You're preaching to the choir, man.
Yeah. But I had a lot of fun with a lot of games this year, actually.
I did, too.
It was kind of hard narrowing down my games of the year. The guides wasn't so hard, because apparently I only reviewed like 8 guides or something like that this year, so...
It was actually very hard for me to come up with my guides of the year, because I reviewed a bunch. First I was like, did I not review very many? I did review a bunch, but I didn't... most of the ones I reviewed were not that great. Or, and unfortunately, I have some guides I haven't even finished reviewing yet. Like Sunset Overdrive, because I didn't get that till after I finished playing the game.
Oh.
And then I had to work on my next review for work, and I haven't even touched Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, so both of those guides could be like fantastic guides, but I have no idea, and it's kind of sad. Which is kind of like what happened with last year. I couldn't finish Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds but before the end of the year, and I did like the first week in January, and it made me sad because I didn't nominate it for like one of the best guides of the year or even game of the year, because it would have been for both.
Yeah, I love that game. I'm actually thinking about playing it, going through it again this year.
Oh, I got too much else to do this year. I mean, everyone voted for me to play Wind Waker HD, so that is the next Zelda game for me to attack, is Wind Waker HD. And maybe by the time I finish that, Majora's Mask 3D will be out.
Yeah. Nintendo, you evil bastard.
Yes, this is true. But why don't we go through games of the year first, and then we'll go through guides of the year. So
Okay.
let's start at number 5. So Chris, what did you have for your number 5 game of the year?
My number 5 is Civilization Beyond Earth.
And this surprises me because most people I know that played it just said it was a very weak expansion.
Yeah, if you were looking for something brand new, some sort of new IP, I think a lot of people were also kind of hoping for an Alpha Centauri kind of spiritual successor. And you know, I I looked at the screenshots, I watched a couple of the movies, uh, so I kind of knew what it was going to be. I didn't see that it was going to be anything more than Civ 5 just set with a space theme. So I like the setting. I like what they did as far as the tech tree and your progression. I like the fact that you always have aliens kind of coming at you, so you're constantly trying to deal with that. And to me, it was a lot of fun. So I very much enjoyed it, and I've sunk. I mean, I played it at we were doing Extra Life. Played it after that. So it's just one of those games that you can't just sit down and play for an hour. So usually when I get ready to play it, I block out an entire day because I've tried doing the whole save it, come back, and continue playing, and it never works out because I always forget what the hell I'm doing.
No,
So yeah, I mean, I very much it's a fun game for me, and I got exactly what I was expecting out of it. So go go team.
no.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 was Sunset Overdrive. And this was a game that I cared nothing about until I went and saw it at E3. And it 100% fulfilled my expectations. It is just, it's over the top silliness with the shooter, and so many genres and pop culture is just made fun of in this game. I mean, what's won it over for me 100%. I mean, I was already sold on it, but when my character starts arguing with the voiceover narration, and then they get into a "fuck you, no fuck you" argument back and forth. I mean, it's hard to top that.
Yeah.
And but really sealed it was when I got to the faction with the LARPers, who, because of the accident with the overcharge, they now believe that they are 12th century medieval knights. And so one of them, they only know him as Hardcore, and all he says is "hardcore" the entire time, which is such a great making fun of Game of Thrones. Everything about it was just great. If you just don't take it seriously, it is fantastic. And it's not your average shooter. Like, you just don't run around and shoot things. You actually have to be stylistic, and which makes it incredibly fast-paced.
Yeah, this is one of those games where it seemed like you either loved it or you hated it. I didn't really see a whole lot of people saying this is a middle ground. It
No.
was all right. It was fun. It was either, oh my God, this is so much fun, or this is really dumb because of they just took the whole callbacks and making fun of
Mm-hmm.
stuff too seriously. So I don't know, but
I mean, there was a side quest where you had to save this guy who was creating some sort of contraband stuff, and you find out his name is Jesse. And as you're saving him, they're like, what are you doing? He goes, "Yeah, science, bitch." Like, okay, I'm sold. This is great. But you got to have a sense of humor, and you just can't expect it to be hardcore and serious. It's not Call of Duty. It's crazy, bright, orange sunshine with killer mascots. I mean, seriously.
hey, if it's fun, that's all that matters.
That's right.
So what do you have for number 4?
Well, my number 4 was it's also a shooter, but it's much darker than Sunset Overdrive. It was Wolfenstein: The New Order, which
This is one that I think it was on sale at Target, and I almost picked it up this week.
I recommend it. It's not your typical Wolfenstein. It's not going from corridor to corridor, going shooty shooty bang bang. I mean, yes, you do go shooty shooty because seriously, it's Wolfenstein. Of course, you're going shooty shooty the whole time. But the cool thing about it is how dark just, well, first of all, the whole idea of it being alternate history, kind of like the way Resistance is. I love the idea of the alternate histories, and this is alternate histories. If the Nazis won World War II, what would the world be like in the 50s? And which is, pretty darn depressing. But that's so BJ wakes up. He gets into an accident early on in the game. He wakes up so many years later, and so he's part of the resistance trying to overthrow Death's Head. No mention what happened to Hitler, although surely by this time he's long gone because it's been several years later. But but the big thing that got me in it was not just the shooting mechanics, which are fun, and the whole idea of all the bionic commanders, and the idea that you can use stealth or you can use full frontal assault, which of course that's what I did because I suck at stealth. And but the cool thing to me was how the choices you made affected the game, because you had to make this horrible choice early on, and I mean horrible choice. And depending on what you choose, greatly affects who is in the resistance. And it's not just who you choose to save. Because basically what it comes down to is Death's Head has two of your teammates, and you have to pick one to live and one to die.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. And so it's not just about, okay, so you pick this guy to live, he's going to be in your party. It's depending on who you pick to live, it changes your party altogether. Not party's a bad way to play, but who is all in your resistance altogether.
Gotcha.
And it was very dark and deep, and not what I was expecting from Wolfenstein. I was expecting, I guess, a little bit of how it was back in the day, serious, but yet not so serious. I mean, seriously, because you have blue walls and chain guns and stuff. And the one time it did get not serious is that if you go upstairs in your resistance house and you take a nap, you will experience the original Wolfenstein.
Yes.
And you have to kind of go through, and if you die, it's like, ugh, woke up from that nightmare. And whenever you find any computers like in the Nazi camps, if you look at them, the screensaver is from Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh,
so there's little throwbacks like that, but the big thing is it's just switch darker and deeper than the original Wolfenstein was. So that's why that's up there for me. And if you like a challenge, holy crap, this thing will challenge you.
Nice.
I mean, I had to break it down to easy because I can barely hack it on normal. And I know someone who played it twice, got through both sides of the story on Uber. So all power to you, dude. You're crazier than I am.
Damn.
It looks like your number 4 is just like my number 3.
Imagine that. We both picked Valiant Hearts, The Great War, which was something I had, the first time I saw it, it was at E3, and this game came out extremely fast after E3, actually.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't on my radar. In fact, I saw it, was like, oh, that looks really interesting, so I put it down as, you gotta kind of keep watch on this. And then it came out like a month later, so I saw it come up on Steam, and I think we both started playing it at pretty much like the same time.
Well, actually, I got a review copy, and I played it. I remember when I was done, I texted you immediately. I'm like, okay, you need to go pick up Valiant Hearts. And you're like, yes, ma'am. And the next week you played it, you're like, okay, yeah, that was amazing. It's not very long. It probably took me 2 days to complete.
Yeah, I think it was like a 3, maybe 4-ish hour game, because you just kind of take your time.
I want to say about maybe 5. And if you really do all the exploration and try to find all the collectibles, it'll take you 6 to 8 if you really want to sit there and do all that. But I mean, it's short, and it's kind of a point-and-click adventure.
It is, with some pretty good puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I like the puzzles. It was, I think, what got me is, the story. The art was just absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That soundtrack, though, whew.
Yeah, soundtrack was great. What I really liked about it was the art. It was, it wasn't graphic in that it wasn't real, like photorealism, so you didn't have like all the blood and everything with the war, but you didn't need that to show how awful
Oh
the
yeah.
war was. How they were able to depict it with the kind of almost comic booky art style was fantastic.
hmm I just, man, when I was putting this on here, I almost kind of wanted to reinstall it again just to go back through it. But, man, it was
Yeah,
such a good game. Such a good game. And it's cheap. And if you have PC, I'm pretty sure it's going to go on Steam sale starting some
I
point.
wonder if it's actually easier to play on PC than console because, man, like that last level where you had to dig through the trenches was
Mhm.
kind of a beast.
Yeah,
With
it was actually pretty easy.
yeah, it was a beast on the analog sticks, but I started it and I was playing. I was like, there really hasn't been any video games about the First World War. Why is that? And you get like an hour in. Oh, that's right, because it was awful. It was a horrible war. People died in horrible ways. There were horrible things going on. And the cool thing about Valiant Hearts is that it's the story of about 3 or 4 people. Most of them are part of the same family. How they were all in different parts of the war, but yet how they all managed to intersect and try to get back to one another.
Yep.
And, I'm not going to spoil anything, but man, get the tissues for the end.
Yeah, that was one of the harder games to because you knew that was going to be you
Yeah,
kind of knew that was going to be the last that you were going to be playing the game, and then just
but
doing
how
what
they
you had
did
to,
it.
yeah,
Oh,
just doing what you had to do. I was just like, wow, this is one of the hardest. I don't want to beat this game at the current moment.
yeah. Oh, I was boo-hooing. Like, bad.
Yeah, that one stuck with me for a couple days. That ending. That was a really solid game.
So your number 3 looks to be a little happier conversation than Wolfenstein or Valiant Hearts.
It is. And actually, what made me put it on here was is I was the reviews for this game. It's kind of like it's Mario Kart 8, and it's on the Wii U. Yes, it's just another Mario Kart. But I think that this one, for me, it deserves to be on a Game of the Year list because it was a ton of fun. And then they released that Hyrule DLC, and it was just like just venturing back into old SNES kind of Mario Karting days because when you do the Hyrule Castle, all of the instead of it being coins, they're rupees. So you're collecting
Hmm.
those as you go around, and they had the old Star Road, and
Okay, that
uh,
sounds like fun.
if I'm not mistaken, there's like an F-Zero track, and it was like when I saw that it's like I really miss a good F-Zero game. There hasn't been a good F-Zero game in so damn long, but it's just a lot of fun. I mean, we had the Luigi Death Stare meme kick up after this game for at least a week. I mean,
Oh, longer
Luigi,
than that. It was funny though. I remember the original video I saw that. I was like, oh, holy crap. That's, damn, Luigi, you scary.
he's evil.
I
But,
was totally waiting for him just to kind of do this.
yeah. And then as he drives by, he's just like taking you down. So, I mean, it's a good bit of fun. What's your number 3? Oh, we just did that one.
We
Let's
already
go to your
discussed that.
number.
My number
Oh,
3 was
let's
Valiant Hearts. But our number 2s are the same
go the
because
same
it's like
too.
the best game in ever. It's
Yes.
Diablo 3, the Ultimate Evil Edition, which is the Reaper of Souls expansion for the next-gen consoles. Well, actually, I think it's for all consoles, but regardless, we played it on PlayStation 4.
Yep.
And, oh man, just the graphical facelift alone from the PS3 to the PS4 is amazing to begin with. Because I still play my PS3 version because I still got to get that last trophy, and at this rate might take me years. But when I go back and forth, it never ceases to amaze me the differences and what they were able to fine tune it and make it so crisp and bright. And it's hard to explain why I like this game so much because the story kind of blows.
Oh
But
yeah, the story itself is not all that. It's pretty much forgettable. But for me, I mean, I played it on my PC. What I enjoyed about playing it on the console was using the controller. I like the interface. The UI on it was a
mhm.
lot nicer than on the PC. Um, and it was so much fun. And they brought in a lot of the stuff that was on the PC. The PC gets it first, then they bring it over to the console in a patch. But like when you, me, and Blake were all running around playing, that's a ton of fun. It's just
Yep.
something that you can easily sit down and you can run a Rift in 45 minutes. You can do it in 15 if you're really just trying to hammer one out. The
That's the
bounties.
problem is I would sit there like, I'll just do a couple of bounties, and 10 bounties later, like, ah, crap, I'm late.
Yep. It was, yeah. At lunch, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do all the bounties in this area, and then I'm gonna be done. Oh, well, I got all these rift keys. I might as well just run a rift. It won't take that long. You know
Mhm.
what? I should go clear the bounties out in this. Ah, shit. It's 2 hours later.
Yup.
So it's, for me, I think what it is, the addicting thing is that once you get so powerful, just destroying stuff, and
Mhm.
then all the loots. So they're
So much loot.
when they fix that, when they did the loot 2.0 stuff, that it definitely made the game a lot more fun. So
Well, I mean, and even like the fifth act is probably one of my favorite acts now. It's not just because I haven't played it like repeatedly like I have the first four. I think it adds a different dynamic, and it actually kind of and I like the side quests that you now have with your companions, because now it's just like, okay, so it's not the tank, the loudmouth crossbow guy who doesn't shut up, and the enchantress. It's like they actually have these cool backstories that you get to explore on your way to conquesting Malthael. Even learning a little bit more about Tyrael and some of the other characters that you're having to deal with when you're all trapped in. I forget what that city's called where you're holed up, but so to me, there's a little bit more to the story that kind of delves more into it instead of just just grinding through and yes, the loot is still awesome and the hack and slash is still what makes that part of the game fun, but the fifth act I think just made it a little more dynamic, a little more interesting than the first four. Because after I played through the first four, I kind of stopped. I was like, yeah, this whatever, keep pressing X, skip through all the talking, stop talking Kane, stop talking Adria, and when I got to the fifth act, I really liked talking to all my companions and hearing like their thoughts on what's going on with this, and even Tyrael, and even some of like the blacksmith's little apprentice that he finds. Like that interaction is a little more interesting. So it's almost like they tried a little bit more.
yeah,
with the fifth act, and it was in the whole idea about like the bounties and the rifts, and I still haven't gotten into one of the treasure vaults, but I hear that's just amazing when you're actually able to open up one of those. And
oh, the best part about the rifts is when because if you've never played it, but essentially a rift is it just basically it takes a random level from the game and then puts random enemies in it. So because it's all randomly generated, you can actually run across a room that is full of treasure goblins and have to destroy all them. And now they've added in anything where every once in a while a treasure goblin will drop a key so that way you can get into their gate and go raid their stash. And they also have the treasure goblins that are all rainbowy that take you right to Whimsyshire.
see, if only they had that in the original PlayStation 3 version, I could get that 5 million gold in a hurry. I'm only like, what, 3.2 million away? I'm never going to get there.
You're going to be doing this all through 2015. This should be a goal for
Possibly.
next year.
That'd be great.
hmm So
Yeah.
what do you have for number one?
My number one, I called this game back in 2012 as Game of the Year, and I'm sticking to it because it delivered in all aspects, and that is South Park Stick of Truth.
This was on Steam sale at Thanksgiving, and I bought it. I just need to play it.
Yes, you do. You need to play it, be prepared to laugh at the most inappropriate things, like you'll feel bad about yourself for finding things funny. The the only reason why I would be negative on this is that the turn-based combat is not stellar, and that some of the because it's turn-based combat, but it's also interactive turn-based. So, like a good example is like if you played Lost Odyssey, you couldn't just give orders to your team and just sit back and go. You actually had to pay attention, especially with your immortals. You had to press a button at the right time in order to activate a certain power. This does the same thing. It's kind of quick-timey event, and especially if you want to do other random stuff like throw a fart on someone in the middle of a game, which, yes, you can do that, because if you fail that, you will shit your pants. But it was just it was very creative, like how they took this idea of these kids just LARPing for fun and turned it into this grand scale, huge event where all of South Park got involved, and and all your favorite characters are involved in some way, except for Chef, of course. Like Al Gore makes an appearance, who's actually one of the hardest bosses in the game, and you have to make friends and put them in Facebook, and you don't even get to name your character, because no matter what you name your character, they call you douchebag. It doesn't matter what you do. That's just your name. I played as a Jew. That was the class that I chose, which was a lot of fun, because it's just not your typical mage or anything like that. But like Butters was a paladin, and if you got his summoning high enough, he just became like this Thor, god of thunder, and just like smite everybody. Even Cartman, like when I would party up with him and I'd throw his fire spell, what he did was he would light a fart on people. So it was very, very creative, but expect, obviously, boundaries to be crossed. In every way possible. Like, you have to perform a fake abortion.
Oh.
There are zombie aborted fetuses. Actually, they're zombie Nazi aborted fetuses.
Oh.
And when you get to the zombie Nazi part, the Nazi zombie part, it's kind of because one of the generals is like, Nazi zombies? Oh, that's so overdone. But and when you find them, they actually will talk to you. Like, they actually have like old recordings from back in World War II of the Nazi speeches. So yeah.
Damn.
When they go all the way in offending people, they put in 150%.
Well, it is South Park, so you kind of gotta expect it.
And it's even one of those where when you get to the end, it wasn't like, oh, that was it. It was actually still pretty good. The ending was what it was, very good for a game of this magnitude, because sometimes when you get doubled up, the ending's a letdown. But this one actually had a pretty good ending, and it's also one of those that you can still will let you open up and explore South Park if you want to get all those collectibles, because you got to catch all 100 of those Chim Pokemon.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, damn it.
So what about you? What's your number one?
It should come as no surprise. It's Dark Souls 2. Actually...
And you crazy people in your Dark Souls.
Yeah, I know. They just announced this week that they're essentially going to do like the Prepare to Die edition when it was on for Dark Souls 1. They're going to release another edition coming out, I think, next year that contains all the DLC, so that'll be the one that I pick up on the PC. And people that are still playing Dark Souls 1, rejoice on PC, because they just removed Games for Windows and moved it over to Steamworks. So that's a free patch. Yeah. But no, it's, I kind of, I'm a Dark Souls addict, so I very much enjoy just playing the same boss over and over and over, getting my ass handed to me over and over and over. And
you guys are just masochistic.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can't really comment on the story because there's not a whole lot of story to go off of, and
that's what I've heard.
You kind of, I mean, there's a lot of lore there, but you have to go find it. It's not in the game. You have to actually go to websites because there's a lot of lore that, that's there. You just have to read it outside of the game, which is kind of annoying. But I like the fact of I like what they did with this one. I like the subtle changes, like if you die, your health bar keeps shrinking until you crush an effigy to make it all better. And
wow.
Oh yeah.
That's
Every
nuts.
yeah, every time you die, you lose a little bit of life, and then you run out of effigies, so you end up having to go back to certain areas of the game and farm effigies. That way you can get your life back. And uh, I haven't touched any
This
of the DLC. I've watched a couple of the streamers doing the DLC, and it looks like it's pretty awesome. So I'm
this
looking
does not
forward to
sound
the.
pleasant to me.
Well, that's why I'm looking forward to Bloodborne. So there we go.
I was about to ask you if you're looking forward to Bloodborne.
Oh hell yeah! Dark Souls with guns in a like steampunkish kind of setting. Oh hell yeah! Sign
And
me up for that
horror,
one. Oh yeah.
not horror,
I'm
horror,
horror. I'm all over
horror.
that one. So
Yeah,
yeah, next year you could probably see
yeah.
Bloodborne.
I go nowhere near that. That
Yeah.
or Dying Light or but also other horror stuff. Oh, Resident Evil Revelations 2, or Resident Evil HD. Yeah, nope. Stand far away from the things that make me scream and throw controllers and just what did Ross do when he played Outlast? Nope, 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 nope. Yep, that would be me.
Oh, that scared us too. That was the best part. It scared Blake and I because we were not prepared for that.
Yeah, yeah, no interest.
So,
Okay, well, that wraps up our game. So, what about the guides? Like, I only have three because I already explained why. So, I'm going to start with you, Chris. Why don't you go through your top guides of the.
my number 5 was Diablo 3, the Reaper of Souls. It's pretty much
But you had that for the PC version, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, see, I got it for the console version, and it's not on my list because there are. I can't remember top of my head, but I remember I was looking through my reviews. Oh yeah, they did have that. It wasn't as complete
Yeah.
as the Diablo 3 from the previous version.
Let me make sure that. Do I? Where is it at? Oh no, I thought it was a hardcover. It was if because by the time I got it, I'd already been playing Reaper of Souls. So if you hadn't already been playing it and weren't following up, it gave you a good introduction to what Loot 2.0 was going to do. It gave you a good introduction to the new Crusader class that they introduced with the Reaper of Souls expansion. Yeah, now some of it's kind of outdated because obviously you're not patching a book, so you don't have stuff like the Greater Rifts and you don't have the Goblin hideouts and that kind of thing. But as an introduction and getting you up to speed as to what was going on with Diablo 3 and the whole storyline and all the new patching, like all the new stuff that they introduced into the expansion, it did a really good job on that. So, and their Loot 2.0 wasn't just like a small 2-page chunk. It was a sizable, breakdown of what's going on. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like they might have had a little bit more to go over with the PC version because, the console, technically we already kind of had the Loot 2.0 with the first console version. So I just felt like there wasn't as much details going into all the stuff that you could do in the Ultimate Evil Edition. And maybe they just tried to crank it out real fast because it was coming out the console, and they might not have put as much effort into it since they already did do one for PC.
Yeah, it's going to be my guess is that they probably just took the PC one and then updated it in some sort of way.
Right.
Because they already had all the content. Because let's face it, the PC version didn't really change much. The console didn't really change a whole lot between the PC version, so they just kind of brought the two in line by the time when Ultimate Evil came out. So.
Right.
In fact, I think the PC version was a little bit further ahead because we were doing a couple other things that wasn't on the console at that time. Anyway. For number 4, I put down Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and this is just because it saved me from breaking my fucking highly expensive Wii U controller. So
I forgot that game even came out this year.
Oh yeah, it's a good time. It was
earlier this year, like spring. Okay.
I mean, late spring, early summer, I think.
Oh, okay. That's why. After E3, my mind's just blanked on everything.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo had a pretty good year. It was really hard not to put a lot more Nintendo games on here. I was trying to keep it diversified, but yeah, the guy did a pretty good job of following along with what you needed to do and keeping you from throwing your controller. Because Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze has a lot to do in it. There's a lot of unlock this, then go back to this stage and try it again, try to, do all the challenges and that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's not Dark Souls too hard, but
what I understood is like you could, kind of like the first Donkey Kong Country, you could blow through it in a couple of hours.
oh, you could
But if you want to get that 100% completion,
oh yeah,
there's
you were
a
spending
lot to do.
yeah, you're spending a lot of time there.
Because I remember the first Donkey Kong Country, the one on Super NES, when I first played it, and a friend and I, we played it together, and we beat it, and our percentage was like 20%. After beating the game, it was 20%. It's like, holy crap, what are all we missing?
Hell yeah, there's a lot to do. It's a good time. So, let's go to you, because now we're both at number 3.
Okay, so my number 3 was Assassin's Creed Unity. And while the game is, I know you're playing the game right now, the game itself is pretty straightforward. To me, it wasn't as complicated as Assassin's Creed games in the past in terms of how to go about attacking a group, or sneaking into an area and finding this, or maybe I've just gotten better at these games. I have no idea. But what the guide did really well, though, was that it saved me, I don't know, probably a lot of frustration for the final boss, because the final boss is not very obvious in what you need to do. I probably would have died several times, because there's 2 stages to it. In the first stage, thanks to the guide, I was able to do it first try. But if I didn't have the guide, I probably would have died several times going, what the hell am I doing wrong? And even like the second stage is still not very obvious what you're supposed to do to fight this guy. But the big thing about Assassin's Creed Unity is, oh my god, the collectibles. Yes, all the collectibles are on the maps. Like, it's not like Assassin's Creed's in the past where the treasure chests were not on the map, so you had to just randomly find them. And the same thing with, like, the banners and the feathers, they were never on the maps. Well, now all the stuff is on the map, so you're thinking, well, why do I need the guide? Well, yes, you can use the guide to help you kind of tick all the collectibles, but the big thing about it is the enigmas, the enigma mysteries, which are the Nostradamus enigmas. They're riddles. And basically it tells you where you need to go, and then you have to go to a certain place in Paris and try to find where the next enigma is until you solve the riddle. Well, you know what? Nobody got time for that.
Yeah. Because
I just sit there with the guide like, where do I need to go next? Thank you. Where do I need to go next? Thank you.
Yeah, and I tried
if you don't
using
know
some of the
places, they have the gigantic map to, oh, okay, that's where that is. And there's also a lot of strategy for the heists, which is a co-op mission that I've only done once because I hate them. Because the heists, you have to be 100% stealth.
Oh, damn.
You're seen, you get ejected. So, which I suck at that.
That.
Yeah. So the guide actually gives a lot of good information on how to go through it without being seen. Of course, you have to have a partner who's willing to let you plan out what the strategy guide says. Usually, they just want to go and do whatever they want to do because they want to do it trial and error. And like I said, nobody has time for that.
Hey, nobody got time for that.
But that and I guess like some of the murder mysteries as well. Like, I really enjoy the murder mystery part of Assassin's Creed Unity. It's probably one of my favorites because, like, I played Sherlock Holmes earlier this year, and I love that. And Murdered Soul Suspect, love that. But with and so it has the same idea in Assassin's Creed Unity, but I don't want to make a mistake in my accusation, so I always double check myself because I'm a cheater, dirty cheat, I guess. I don't use it to find out who did it. I use it to double check and make sure that I was right, and then I, do the little fist pump and then accuse the guy.
Yeah, I've only done one of those so far.
They're fun. It's different. It's very different.
It's a different
Oh,
game.
the other thing I love about the guide is that there's so many side quests in the game, and not just when I'm talking about the murder mysteries and whatever, and like the Paris stories. And I tried doing some of the Paris stories early on, and you fail at them every single time. Well, the guide actually tells you when is the best time to even try any of the side quests. It's like you must have this, this, and this ability in order to do it without being seen or to survive it to begin with, and things like that. So, because we usually when stuff opens up, you want to go on ahead and do it immediately. Well, Assassin's Creed Unity is not like that. You don't have the powers to do it, which is kind of I think a problem with the game design.
Mhm.
But the guide will help clear a lot of that frustration, because like you see this quest that has like a 1 diamond, you're like, oh, that's super easy. Well, you actually can't. You really can't do it. You probably could, but you couldn't do it well until I think you get to like halfway through the game and through the main campaign. So the guide even recommends that you don't even do any side quests until you get through sequence 9, which is almost near the end game.
Damn.
So anyway, so what's your number 3?
My number 3 was Tales of Xillia 2. It was, there's a lot of stuff to do in that game, and the guy did a pretty good job at breaking it down. So it'd say me, I don't know, this game at minimum should it be like a 40 to 60 hour game. I think if you try to do everything in it, it's probably 80 to 100. So I think I
Yeah,
did it, knocked it out in 52-ish hours, somewhere up in there.
still a lot of
So
time.
it is, but some of that is I would get to like a boss, and then I'd sit down and find the boss in the book and read up on what I was going to do with the boss. So there's 5 minutes of me sitting there reading that, going through everything that's going to happen, then playing it, moving on, trying to find something. Like if I was in a new area, I'd just kind of stand there and I'd go through the book, get the guide to figure out what it is, all that I needed to do, and see if there's a couple things that I could knock out in one, in a more efficient kind of manner. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, those Tales games I know are huge. I've never played one, but I don't remember which. Someone who plays Tales games, she said that she'd spend at least 100 to 150 hours on them.
Oh yeah, you could definitely do that if you don't have a guide. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's a pretty in-depth game,
Yeah,
and it's
once
colorful
again,
and
nobody's got
pretty.
time for that.
Shit. Oh.
Well, my last 2 guides of the year are actually both Nintendo games.
Yeah, Nintendo games.
Yeah, first one is Bayonetta 2.
Yes.
Which Bayonetta 2 is one of those that also has, like, you can burn through it in probably, 2-3 hours if you really just burn straight through it. But there's so much to do in it. There's all these optional levels that you can do. There's all these collectibles you can find. There's like little mini games that you can do. And the guide was, well, before it was destroyed by my son, the guide was really great at showing you exactly where all those hidden levels are. Because Platinum Games likes throwing in the hidden levels, the hidden optional levels that you don't have to do. But if you do them, there's a pretty good reward for you. And the guide was really great at breaking down where the collectibles were, the best, most efficient way to do them, when you should come back and do them. It broke down like the co-op, how to get all the various costumes, and it also broke down for me, which helped me learn some of the moves, because some of the moves just aren't that intuitive. Like when it just shows you like the button presses, and the guide actually helped teach me how to do some of those, which I had so many problems with in the first Bayonetta. So the Bayonetta 2 guide does not have the guide from the first Bayonetta, and the Bayonetta 2 game has the first Bayonetta game, but that's because actually Bayonetta 2, that strategy guide, never got approved in the U.S. It is a Future Press Europe only, and the guide is about, 3 inches thick. And they said that their gamers are working on that guide spent a total of 60,000 hours going through it because of all the. You think collectibles are insane in Bayonetta 2? They are more insane in the first one because only certain collectibles show up in certain areas of the game depending on what difficulty you're playing. So if you want to get through all of that, then yeah, they have to play it several times, which they totally got rid of that in Bayonetta 2, thank God, because seriously, I'm not playing through that 10 million times. But Chris, I can't hear you. This is the fun of live video. I feel like I should sing or something. Yeah, Chris has issues with this mic sometimes. I guess hearing
Oh,
stuff.
that's great.
There you go. Let's wrap this up quickly. Nope, I just lost you again.
What?
There you go. Now I hear you.
Yeah, it mutes your mic as soon as you unplug it, so.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well then, let's try this again. So, my number 2, I'm having a toss-up, actually. I have Ultra Street Fighter 4 down here. But I might just say spoiler because it's I'm working on the Super Smash Brothers guide at the current moment, and that one is really damn good too. Because it does such a good job of breaking down all the stuff that you can do in the game. But the 3DS has one special mode, and the Wii U version has another mode, and the guide actually goes through both games. So it tackles, like, the fighting and all that stuff is all done, the characters and all that doesn't change. But then when you get to the stages, and so the stages are broken down, you have the Wii U and then you have the 3DS, and then you have all this extra stuff that you can do. So, like Smash Run on the 3DS, it gets its own little section. I forget, it's not even coming off my head right now, but to collect all the challenges in the Wii U version.
Did you have Smash Bros. On the 3DS as well as the Wii U, or did you just get it once?
No, I have it on both. So I've actually gone through to.
You're dedicated.
Yeah, and I had no idea that if you bought both of them, you got Mewtwo later on as a free character download. So apparently I got that because I took some time and registered all my stuff on the Nintendo website. So.
Oh, nice.
And you can apparently, I haven't been able to really try it, but apparently you can play, there's an option on the Wii U version to connect to the 3DS. So I haven't broken down to try that yet.
Okay.
But that guide is pretty solid. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you own both versions, because it makes Smash Run and the challenge modes that much easier.
Oh, okay.
So
see, and then that brings me to my number 1. This is a challenge mode. It's a nice little segue in to Hyrule Warriors.
That was such a fun game.
Which has a campaign mode and a challenge mode. And that challenge mode, you could easily waste 200 hours of your life trying to work through that challenge mode. Because of all the stuff you have to do and all the collectibles you can do. Because only parts of it unlock only after you complete certain parts of the campaign. Then you have to complete get certain trophies in the challenges to be able to get to other challenges. And then there's the regular mode and the super hardcore mode. And all together is like all these gold skulls hollows you can try to get through all those different modes. And it is absolutely insane. So I did only a few bits of the challenges, and I saw like life would just disappear. So, like, okay, I have to stop. But Hyrule Warriors, because I'd never played a Dynasty Warriors game, so this is my first real experience with that. There were some valuable tips on the campaign, part of the guide on how to not get those fail states. Not just about not die, but just to avoid the fail states from letting certain people die or letting this get run over or yada yada yada, and is also valuable in helping find those gold skulltulas, because whenever you got the conditions for a gold skulltula, you had a certain time limit to run over there, and it would kind of tell you the area it was in. but but you can kind of hear it, but you may not be able to see where it is, maybe hidden or something, and it may be across a rift, and the only way you can get there is from the other side of the map. And the guide was very helpful in helping you find all those Skulltulas, just to be in the proper area, because the time limit would happen quickly, and it was always fun when there was a boss fight going on at the same time, and you couldn't leave the boss fight to go after the Skulltula.
Nice.
So that is my strategy guide of the year. And it might be the same if I had played everything I wanted to play, but I'm pretty sure the other guides I have, like Sunset Overdrive and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and Lego Batman 3. Oh my gosh, Lego Batman is this thick, so I'm sure it is packed full of goodness too. So I feel bad I haven't gotten through everything, but we're only so many people.
Yep.
We do our best. But that's my guide of the year. I have a feeling I know what your guide of the year is.
No, I'm pretty sure you don't. Nobody would even guess this. It's Dark Souls 2.
Which I would probably need a guide, a lot of holding and alcohol to get through that game.
Yeah, they did a really good job on the first guide, and they just did a phenomenal job on this guide too. It's one that I still kind of use from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
To go back and just kind of reread. Sometimes, you forget something or whatever, but yeah. I mean, it's definitely an encyclopedia kind of read. It's not something I would say is going to be a whole lot of fun, but, it covers the game really, really well, except for all the DLC, obviously. But the main game, yeah, it tackled that fantastically. So I should probably bring it with me when I go to Arizona next week, because I have a feeling my brother-in-law might actually use it, because he's a Dark Souls fan too. So, and yeah, if I drop it off, maybe he'll pick it up. That'd be awesome. But it is pretty. It's also a very sexy guide. It's very nice. So.
And that was a Future Press one, right?
Yes.
They did the first Dark Souls, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And they're both hardcovers.
Well, all the Future Press ones are hardcovers. They don't do like a limited edition and paperback. They're like, nope, we give you all the awesomeness
in one go round.
In one go. Yep.
So, well, that covers how great the year is. Considering that this is going to be the end of it for us for this year, what are you going to do over your vacation?
Well, I finished my last game I need to play for review yesterday.
Hooray!
All I have to do is write it up as Halo Master Chief Collection. Which there is not a guide collection for that, which I'm kind of disappointed in, because Halo 2 has new collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
Although they're not very hard. If I was able to find all of them but 2 my first time through, I don't think it's going to be that hard. But I think for the most part the game is pretty much the same. I never finished Halo 2 before because the original Xbox graphics were so bad. I was having too much trouble seeing where the flood was coming from, and all those problems have been fixed. There was actually textures, so now it doesn't look like the flood's coming out of the walls, because everything looks a little different. The game is, just like before, the game is great until the flood shows up, because that's the case with every Halo game. The game is fantastic until the flood shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so I'm pretty much done with that, because I thought about replaying all of them. I was like, I want to replay those games again, but then I remember, oh wait, the library. I don't want to go through that again. Halo 3 I might replay, but Halo 4 I've now played 3 times, so I don't really have a huge motivation to replay it again, even on Xbox One. So I don't know, but the plan is now that I got all that done, is I'm going to get back to Sunset Overdrive so I can review that guide. Like I said, I finished the game, all those side quests. So now I can go after all those comic books and complete that side quest, among with all the other wonderful side quests. And then I also hope to maybe start Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I mean, that should be a short game. It's a Call of Duty game.
Yep.
And maybe finally crack open Lego Batman 3. I'm embarrassed that I've had this game and haven't even had a chance to open it. And maybe I will finish Dragon Age Origins. Actually, next week I have 2 days in a row where I don't have the kids at all, so I figured that'll be the best time to sit down and force myself to finish it. Stop
Awesome.
being afraid of that final boss and just do it.
Just do it.
That's right. So what
Just
about
do it.
you?
Well, I'll be traveling, so I'll be in Arizona. So unfortunately, I'm not going to remote play to my PS4. So uh, I'm going to play a lot of portables. So Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, because I'm still
Yay,
collecting
portables.
all the damn thing, all the damn goodness. Defense Grid 2, because I can play it on my. I'm bringing my Surface Pro, so I
Okay.
might actually try to load up South Park on that and see if it runs. So
I
Defense
bet
Grid
it will.
2, and some Smash Bros. 3DS.
Cool.
So airport time. And I'm gonna bring my Vita. So and then there's the Steam sale which starts tomorrow. I'm so sorry, Wallet. You're gonna hate me by the time this is over. So and probably some random stuff off my Vita. Oh, and The Binding of Isaac. Yeah, because that's on my Vita. That plays really fun on that. So
Yeah, I don't know if I would do anything on the Steam sale. There was one PC game that I did not play this year that I've been told is really, really good. I want to check it out if it's on sale, and that's The Vanishing Ethan Carter.
I haven't even seen that one.
It's okay. The people that created people behind People Can Fly. They did Bulletstorm, and they did the last Gears of War game.
Huh.
They most of them, the founders, left People Can Fly and formed their own indie studio called Astronaut. And their first game is The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and apparently it's a murder mystery. So it's kind of like Murdered Soul Suspect in that all you do is explore and try to solve a murder.
Huh.
So I'm always down for that.
Good times. Put it on
Yeah.
your Steam
So
list.
if that goes on sale, then I'll probably pick it up because otherwise, I mean, I want to give them the full money, but man, I'm so broke right now. It's just gonna have to wait.
Well, just put it on your Steam wish list, and if it goes on sale, you'll get a nice little email that says a game on your wish
Yes.
list is for sale.
Yes, that's how they always get me. The game that you want on your wish list is $1 today. Fine. Take
Yeah,
my buck.
I just got that email. What game is it? It's because it's six. Oh, Dungeon of the Endless. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's on sale today. Kind of trying to not. I'm refraining, but I'm gonna break. So yeah, breaking.
well, we've gone on for a rather long time, and I have to go pee. So let's wrap this up. Of course, you can find us both on strategyguidereviews.com, where we actually do review strategy guides. I know we've been behind, but we do review them. I promise. Um, of course, that I'm still writing at actiontrip.com, and you can find Chris's Twitter at Starven. That's STARVEN, and my personal Twitter is Crunchy Chocobo, and the Strategy Guide Reviews Twitter is at Strategy Reviews. All right, thanks so much for sticking with us for this episode. We will see you in 2015.
Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Peace.